Creative Katie here. Welcome to my version of the Index Card a Day 2019 Challenge and my Create Daily series. In the end, we're going to create something that looks like this, but it takes the scenic route. So on the page from my mini happy planner that I had, there was a gel print on there, and then I put a coat of gesso because I wasn't feeling whatever color combo was in the gel print. And I wanted to put music paper on the back. I wanted to see the music notes peeking through. And I think I'm cursed because anytime I start off with putting music paper on, inevitably my plan goes south. And that is the case with this one. So if you want to skip ahead, you can go to about 2 minutes 30 seconds, 2 minutes 40, and catch up. So I wanted to go vintage, and so I'm using a makeup sponge and applying brown paint and white so I can still see the music paper out. I want the paint to catch on the ridges of the collaged papers to add that extra effect. So that's where I'm going. And at this point, I really like what I have here. So I'm going to use this Rosetta stencil. And actually, that's just the center part of the stencil. I cut it out from the rest of the stencil because I use this separately a lot, and it just makes it easier for me to do, but I love the whole stencil as well. So I'm just stenciling in some of the brown. And I think, oh, well, this light aqua goes really well. That kind of gives you that vintage kind of vibe, and I'm kind of going with that. And I think part of the problem here was that I am dealing with a very small surface. It's about 5 by 7, and this is where it's kind of like, it's not working for me. So I just don't stop. I just keep adding layer upon layer upon layer. Then I decide I want to build some contrast. So I grab my black modeling paste from the Crafter's Workshop and I put it through that stencil. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe this will give it a strong focal image, the black against the background. I love their modeling paste. The black modeling paste is just, it's so smooth. So there it is, and I am not happy. So this sits for a day. I put it aside, and I'm thinking about what to do. I would have thrown it out, but I love what's on the other side. So, I think, okay, you know what? I am going to put a coat of gesso on here. I guess I could have used white modeling paste for all extents and purposes at the end of it. But sometimes you need to do that. You need to say, call it, and start over. And you can always, always, always add a layer of gesso. Now this means I will not see the music paper, and I didn't need to use black modeling paste, but I will continue to have the texture from the music paper, and I will have the texture from the modeling paste. So I'm using that makeup sponge, and I'm applying light aqua, medium magenta, and bright yellow. And just mixing, putting some very happy colors. So I'm going as far from vintage and the brown that I had earlier. Now I have some really bright colors, and I'm just building up the intensity of the colors till I get the level that I like. So I still want that contrast, and I like the black, but now I'm basically reversing the stencil. So I'm taking my fine line bottle and I'm flooding the spaces in between. So I squirt out the paint and I just move it around with the tip. And while I don't show you the entire time I'm doing this, it really didn't take that long. You can use a fine line brush and paint it yourself if that's what you'd like. Alternatively, I could have painted the whole thing with black gesso, put white on top of the stencil, and this colored that part. So different looks, but this is something that I haven't done in the ICAD challenge, and I wanted to do something different because I'm kind of showing off different techniques and different supplies so that you get lots of ideas. So you can see the intensity, the bold and bright color scheme that I've got going here. And this is making me much happier. I also learned that, okay, I can paint over top of the black modeling paste should you need to. And just adding some dots in the middle of this, just so it kind of looks like a dream catcher E kind of thing. And I found the quote, "Don't look back, you're not going that way." And this is the prompt direction. I think that's week 7. And I'm just applying that with gel medium. Grabbing the fine line bottle again, and just to recap, the fine line bottle, I used the heavy-bodied Liquitex Basics paint, and I thin it down to get the right consistency. And it's just trial and error. I do not mix up the entire bottle full. It lasts a long time, so there's no need to do that. When I used craft paint, it did kind of glob inside, but I've not had that problem when I've used the Liquitex Basics. So just to make the sentiment stand out a little bit more, I'm going around it with the black. Now as I look at this, I'm thinking, oh, that background is a little too simple, a little too, I don't think it's quite done. So I think, oh, I'm going to add some black splatters. I make a mask to cover up the sentiment. And before I do that, I think, you know what, I'm going to add some black archival ink with my script stamp to that background, just to add even more. I know I use my script stamp a lot. It's just that big of a favorite. And it just always adds the right small scale interest to a very simple background. So I'm looking at that and I think, okay, I'm still going to go ahead and do the splatters. So I thin out the black paint, grab my fan brush, and I'm just splattering the whole thing. And as I look at it, I'm thinking, you know what? I need to add some bling. So I do the same. I thin up the gold paint and I'm going to splatter on that. And the gold on top of these light colors, I wasn't sure it was going to show, but it totally does. And it looks absolutely amazing on the finished page. So this one had some twists and turns, some, oh my gosh, this isn't working. But in the end, I really like what I ended up with. So don't give up, keep going forward.